Shalom, everybody. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at www.KosherTorah.com. Bringing to you today's daily lesson in the Sefer Yetzirah. Today is lesson number 59, and dedicated, of course, to the health, safety, well-being, and prosperity. Everybody faces the trials and tribulations of everything happening in the world today, including me. Remember, every obstacle is an opportunity. And every time you hear the knock of opportunity, right, the door knocking, opportunity is knocking, remember that could be your guardian angel waiting to give you the answer to your prayers. And if you don't take the appropriate action to open that door and to work with what you get, don't complain for not having anything. Remember the foundation of our Sefer Yetzirah teachings. We are trying to dispel completely the idea, the concept of fantasy magic. In other words, to think hocus pocus, I'm going to say some letters with some sounds and all of a sudden magic happens. This is fantasy. For those people who embrace it, this is delusional. This is why I have absolutely no fear with revealing many of these deep and profound secrets of the Kabbalah. Why? Because I know that if you perform these functions, in other words, you recite all the letters, with all the vowels, with all the body movements, with all the rituals, absolutely nothing, 3 times nothing is going to happen for you. Because, like writing in an automobile, yeah, you could put the key in the ignition, and yeah, you could put the car in gear, and yeah, you could be sitting there behind the steering wheel, and you can go vroom vroom all you want. But if you forgot to put the gas in the engine, which turns the engine on and make the motor run, then you're not going anywhere. So this is why I'm not afraid to teach you how to drive, because getting the gas in that engine is something that only you can do for yourselves. And that is the whole teaching and idea of what we call in this book, putting the Esses Sefirot Belima into the Otiot and the letters. That means realistically, practically recognizing, if you will, higher psychic force, power, and how that materializes in the multiple forms of everything in creation. So whatever you look at, whatever you see, look at it kind of like if you remember the movie The Matrix. In the final scene, the Neo character gazes out and all he sees is the computer, running up and down. Well, we're not really in a computer, but we are a reflection of a deeper reality. And your mind, your psychic eye needs to penetrate this reality to look within, to recognize the Esses Sefirot Belima within the 22 foundational letters. And only when that is combined will you see and understand the wonder of the wondrous paths of which we speak. So this is why I'm trying to help you understand the essence of a letter and what it represents, rather than just focus on its symbol or even its sound. Remember, the initial focus of sounds were very aboriginal. That's really the best word, shamanistic even. When we say mem, you feel the vibrating in your dantian, in that lower area. That's why it was associated with this. Now, we're at the point in chapter 3, Mishnah 8, where we're associating cold with the letter mem. Cold within the year. You know what cold is. It's wintertime. But now we're going to get into some very curious little flips of things. The text continues that it corresponds to the stomach, and we've already discussed that issue, and that the order of the letters in the male, where the mem leads, is mem, aleph, and shin, which again, remember how these letters correspond to Yud Ke Vav. Mem, we said, is the Yod. It's the male component. The Vav is the center column. It's the Vav component. And the final letter, Hey, corresponds to the Shin. Okay, you got that. But the female version is with the Yod, of course, first, because that's what we're dealing with. And then Shin second, Aleph last. Now, if you look at that, the Yud Ke Vav correlations, you have the name Yud Ke Vav, which is the actual orientation or progression of the name. So the name of Hashem, God, is of course Yud Ke Vav Ke. Ke, of course, is Hey. Now, the order, Yud He Vav, feminine? How is that possible? This reveals to us such a profound teaching of correlations with the ancient legends, the ancient teachings, some of which were so radical, and even Chaim Vital himself rejected them, even though everybody rejected his rejection. I'm going to talk to you now about what we call the pre-Adamic civilization, the time of the earlier, what we call cosmic sabbatical, or the Shemitah. And I'm going to show you how this corresponds to exactly what we're talking about here. Understand then and know, according to our ancient legends, Adam, we read in the whole story of Genesis, was not the first human being. That there were entire races, civilizations that rose and fell upon this earth prior to the coming of Adam. And this previous epoch, this previous civilization, rose to great heights, rose to great spirituality, rose to great technology, definitely rose to what we would call the stars. This was called the cosmic sabbatical, the Shemitah of the first Sefer called Chesed. It was expansive, it was outgoing, it was flowing, it was whatever good things. In our legends and traditions, we have referred to this time period as Atlantis or Lemuria, and where and how those ancient legends fit into the historicity of the pre-Adamics. Yeah, I'm not the only rabbi who have noticed this. Let things be as they may. But we understand that there were many heights and lows prior to our Adam. Our Adam, came to earth as, if you will, the first Messiah to rectify and elevate that which had fallen before. And you will find many rabbis who will say that the story of the creation of Adam in Genesis 1 and the story of Adam created in Genesis 2 are different. Different man is referred to. And you will notice in the Bible, you have different words for man, not just Adam, but Ish and Enosh, which, if Hebrew has different words, and obviously they're indicating different things. So according to the legend, the ancient world of the Sefirat Chesed, remember Chesed is male, but according to Rab Chaim Vital, it brings down a profound revelation that these were the kings who reigned in the land of Edom prior to there being a king in Israel. And he elaborates in great detail, and we cover this in equal detail in our Otzrot Chaim series. I'll put a link in the notes to this class here, so if you're interested, check this out. That as the worlds emanated and expressed themselves, the original expression of the worlds emanated from that place called the Sefirat Binah, which is the realm of the mind and thought, which is the head of the left column, the female. It corresponds to the spelling of God's name with the numerical value of 63, and therefore is always referred to as Samech Gimel or Sag in Hebrew. This is the realm of the first letter Hey of God's name. That was the source of the primordial world that existed before our own. It was called the Shemitah of Hesed. Hesed is male, but it was a, bluntly, matriarchal society. And at that time in our Earth's history, everything was different. The Earth's orbit was different. Its pull was different. Everything was completely different. Some even claim that the moon was not even here orbiting the earth at this time. That gets into some weird stuff about the moon. We'll deal with that later. But understand that this ancient time period, for whatever reason, fell. Like it says, well, the Chaim Vital says it like this, that the light came into the vessels, but the vessels were too weak, and the light shattered them and the vessels fell. It's called the fall of the primordial kings. This is all highly symbolic language expressing the inner psychology of our pre-Adamic human history. But moving on with this, what happened next was there was devastation, what the Bible calls the tohu and the bohu. And God, it says, intervened by sending something new, a new revelation of Yud Ke Vav Ke, corresponding to the Sefer Yetzirah, which was now going to raise up the fallen kings, or being that they're from Sag, the female, maybe we should call them queens. Melechim, Malchut. Malchut is feminine. The upper hay fell below and became the lower hay. So the Yud descended itself to become a Vav, long negation, to raise up the female. But as that occurs, all right, we have entered into this other period, this period of chaos, this period of correction, called the Shemitah of Gevurah, severity. Now, as we have learned, as we will continue to learn, heat, that corresponds to the right. Cold corresponds to the left. Didn't we just learn the opposite? The cold corresponds to the male, and the male is the right, but the cold contracts. Learn that from nature. The right expands. Learn that from nature. I mean, that's atomic structure, chemistry, atomic movement and all that. So cold contracts, and contraction is Gevurah, and Gevurah is female. So how does that correspond to the male? How are we associating the mem with the male? Oh, big secret here. Very profound. Look, in all modern Kabbalah, mem corresponds to, they will say, mayim. Mayim is the mikvah. Mikvah is bina, so therefore all of that is female. Didn't we just say mem was chokhmah in the stomach? Yeah. You have conflicting teachings here. Now, either we're going to say, well, from a rational point of view, we're looking historically at the development of ideas and symbolic applications, in which, in the process of history, they changed. And therefore we have this system over here and that system over there, and they're different. Okay, that's true. That is true. But you're missing the one component, and that is the component of consciousness. Remember that higher element that always manipulates space and time? You got to ask, how and where did consciousness shift? That it would one time look at things like this, and then the one time look at things like that. If you're following the Sefer Yetzirah correctly, then you know letters change, shapes change, things change. That's how come we can have a permutation of an idea and a concept from one to another, where it always maintains its truth. Go read the book of Proverbs, Mishle, and read the poetry there, which speaks about wisdom, Chokhmah. Greeks call it Sophia. They refer to it, as the Bible does, as the female. And yet the Kabbalah calls Chokhmah male. And here we're talking about concepts, cold and the like, which we're referring to as male, word which other sides they are female. What is it? This is so confusing. Is it this or is it that? Do you remember what we talked about? 3 columns, one side, other side, and the need for balance and harmony in the middle. Remember how we talked in psychology, how inside the male is the inner female, inside the female is the inner male, and you have to find that balance and harmony between. Now we'll reveal to you a bigger secret. When the worlds above come down into this world below, it's not just a drop, plop. It's like birds plooping on you. It's an inverse and opposite. It's a mirror reflection. That which is above like this is below like this, okay? That which is right above becomes left below, and that which is left above becomes right below. Here is a big secret that you might recognize this in. Moses and his brother Aaron have their place on the Sephirotic tree. Moses is said to be in Netzach, and Aaron is said to be in Hod. Go look at the Kavanot of the guests, the Ushpizin on Sukkot, and you'll see where this corresponds. But Moses is a Levite. And the Levites are less than the Kohen. Kohen is supposed to be mercy chesed, which is supposed to be in the right column. Moses is a Levite. He's on the right column. Aaron, Kohen, priest, right? He's supposed to be on the right. He's on the left. How did they get flipped? Because when the high comes low, it flips around. And that's why Moses is now a Levite and Aaron is now the Kohen. In the time when things are rectified and the lower female, the hay below, rises back to the hay above, and the vav can restore to become the yod, everything is going to revert back to the proper order. And we will have the rectification of the fallen female. And the inverse and opposite of the worlds will meet and merge in a place where they can combine in harmony. Just recently, dating ourselves now, it is the 26th of May, 2020. Within the last week or so, I discovered an article in the news. I believe it was from the New York Post. I saw it, and it had its source in some European newspaper, I forget which. And I posted it on my Facebook feed, where in which they say scientists have now believe that they have discovered evidence of a parallel universe where which time marches backwards. And I made a comment when I posted that online, and I said, told you so. Because that's what we've always taught. We've always known the parallel universes, the higher and the lower. We must understand the recognition, the order. So we're talking Sefer Yetzirah here. Remember, our Sefer Yetzirah is not talking about this physical world of Asiyah. It is talking about the foundation, which is the Otiot Yasod, the foundation of the letters and their energetic correlations. That is how come we can see the male force within the coldness of winter. Because even though you say the winter is like the womb of the mother, true. But something deep within the genetic code of nature itself tells it what to do. That is its subtle, intuitive, psychic, or higher energetic or higher spiritual dimension. That's what we call the male. That's what we call the Esesfirot. And that's why we correlate it to the mem. Even though the mem in our world, our form, is female. So what we see as external female is internal male. And that which we see as external male is really internal female. So the mem and the shin and the mem, they're invert and opposites depending on how you look at them. And that is the secret why here in the Sefer Yetzirah, it says you have the Zachar version and the Nekeva version. Stop looking at this as human sexuality and recognizing it as the correlation to the higher dimension, the lower dimension, and how each and every form in nature, whether it's in our pre-Adamic history to modern times to where we're going in the future, is all going to correlate to this pattern. This is how we need to contemplate the letters as what they mean and not just the external form of their image. And as you do this and return to nature and see this all in the real world, you will understand the wisdom and the wonder of the 32 paths of our Creator. Okay, that should give you enough to think about for today. And God be willing, we'll pick up with Mishnah Tet in our next class or so. We'll pick up the other ideas there and finish up the chapter. All right, Ariel Tzadok here, KosherTorah.com. Check out our courses online. You say you want to learn? Remember, like I said, opportunity is knocking. It's your guardian angel at the door. Open it up and let your angel in. Take some courses and learn. I'll see you all soon. Shalom.